This is in reference to Lawrence O'Donnell's segment from his MSNBC show, The Last Word, on Wednesday, February 4th, 2015. Can we save the last U.S. hostage that is currently being hostage by ISIL? Of course, now we know today is being the 6th, is that supposedly in the bombing run done by 18 or 20 or so Jordanian F-18 fighters or bombers or whatever, that she was killed. Now that's what we hear. Now the reason why I want to talk about that today is because the discussion that they had was so far and so much superior than anything that I've seen in a long time on it. Maybe I'd see it on PBS, but I haven't watched them as much. Or maybe something that might come on in Al Jazeera, but it was so head and shoulders about what you would get in terms of what is really going on. So I guess the biggest thing is that we they acknowledged that. I think he had a lady by the name of Phyllis Bennett and Michael Ray. Phyllis went on to point out is that you're not going to bomb your way to victory. You're not going to bomb. There's not going to be a military solution to this, because somewhere along the line there has to be a political solution. Somewhere along the line, political parties are going to have to agree how this is going to play out. And the military solution, as an example that Billy says, you just go and bomb them to smithereens. What the hell? There's only 40,000 of them. That's how he feels. Now Phyllis went on to point out that recently the Pentagon put out a statement that they think that they had killed approximately 6,000 of the people from ISIL, let's say, I don't know how long, a couple months or whatever, but at the same time that there probably have been between 4,000 and 5,000 recruits that have come on. And remember, the recruits are coming from a whole host of different areas. They're coming from other Arab countries as far away as Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, wherever they're coming from. And they're also coming from Europe, possibly even some from the United States. There may be even something coming from Indonesia. ISIL has an exceptionally good recruiting method. They're exceptionally talented when it comes to social media, so they know how to do this. So there's a lot of the people who really would not be a part of ISIL, they just happen to live in the same geographical territory, have to come up and work with ISIL, or they get slaughtered themselves. So anytime we do this, that anytime we're killing people, they're being replaced. Now, I'd like to bring in another point here. If we did what Billy had asked, thinks that we should do, because he knows what's best, that we would get 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 600,000, whatever it takes to slaughter them all and to get rid of them all. Just remember that just what happened in Iraq when we went in 2003, that foreign people came in from other countries because they didn't want us coming into foreign soil. The same thing would happen if we went back to Iraq and back to Syria to take care of ISIL, because there would be more and more groups popping up and there would be more and more people coming in. And remember, ISIL is well funded. So, that's another issue that's got to be taken care of. Now, after the Jordanian pilot was killed, my hope would have been that the king would have called the king in Saudi Arabia and said, hey, we got to get your guys to cut this shit out in terms of funding them, supplying them with arms, all that kind of stuff that's going on. Because ISIL is getting a lot of help. So, there isn't a military solution to it. So, and now also, ISIL is technically a cult. I mean, if you're a Wahhabi Sunni, you're in trouble if ISIL finds you. If you're a regular Sunni who doesn't care for their version of Allah, then you're in trouble. You're dead. Same thing with a Shiite. Same thing with a Christian. Same thing with a Jew. Same thing with anything. So no one is safe around these people right now, because they truly are not a part of a religion. They're part of a cult. Just like I can use who's that guy? David Koresh. And of course you got to remember, when people are trying to leave ISIL, they slaughter them too. I mean, when you're there forever. You can't say, I think I'd like to go back to Western Europe, where I like the toilets a little bit more, because there are no toilets here. That's as the Queen would say, off with his head. So, is there a roadmap that we can have to get this thing solved? Because we're never going to militarily get rid of ISIL. Well, we could probably bring them down to a fair number, but then we still have to have a political solution in Syria and in northern Iraq. And where does the United States stand with Syria? Because we were against them at one time, but now we found out that there really isn't anyone who's capable of overthrowing them, and the civil war will end up Assad will end up winning it. So we need to have some type of military solution, and of course, part of that military solution, political solution, will have to involve Syria, which means it'll also have to involve Russia. Russia will have to get its hands on it. Iran and Iraq will have to be in it. And of course, we're trying to do this in Syria and in Iraq right now, but at the same time, we're trying to have some type of an agreement with Iran in terms of them being able to make an atomic bomb, or how much centrifuge or how much uranium they can have, and how they can use uranium for peaceful purposes, but not for military purposes. That's all going on right now too. I mean, what are we doing to do that? Now remember, Iran also isn't making a lot of money because of they're not being able to sell their oil, and the sanctions have hurt them pretty hard. But they're going to hold out for the best deal they can. This is all going on at the same time. What is the strategy that we're going to put into this whole thing? How can we have a ceasefire? How can a ceasefire even be established? Who would run the ceasefire? Would Russia be involved? Would Russia send troops? Remember, we're having a little trouble with Russia right now in terms of the Ukraine, where the new Cold War might come in, and we're also considering actually arming the Ukrainians. Now, is that a good idea? Remember we armed the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. Look what that happened. And I'm not saying that the same thing's going to happen in the Ukraine, but we would have to be there for a period of time because we'd be giving them sophisticated weapons, and we'd have to be there to train them. Can there be an arms embargo? Can there be a ceasefire? Who would be involved in the ceasefire? How would it be run? All of those types of things would have to be done. We'd have to work with the Saudis. We'd have to work with Iran. We'd have to work with Syria. We'd have to work with Russia. China would be involved. Remember, with the Iran situation, in terms of them not getting the bomb, it's not just us. Russia's involved in this, China's involved in this, France is involved in that, Britain and the United States. We're the head on the lead on all this. But the point was, this short discussion, 10 or 12 minutes that Lawrence O'Donnell had with, I believe, Phyllis Bennett and Michael Ray, very, very enlightening, very, very thoughtful, well-provoked. It's nothing that you would see on Fox News. There's nothing you would see, I don't know if you'd see it anywhere else on MSNBC. But the point is, there will never be a military solution to this. It will have to come about. There's a lot going on right now, and so as bad as all the things are going on right there, there's not going to be a solution, and bombing them in the smithereens is still not going to be a solution, no matter what Billy says.